Hello everyone and welcome to another scrapbook layout process video. So May is National Scrapbooking Month or National Scrapbooking Day, and there are two different product lines that Close to My Heart have put out, two different promotions. So one is for National Scrapbooking Day, one is for National Scrapbooking Month. And you will have seen that I have done a few things already with the Dream Maker collection. But I just wanted to show you, in case you're not aware of where to look for the promotions that Close to My Heart have, these promotions that come out, these specials, are not in any of the catalogues. So they're not in the core catalogue, they're not in the seasonal catalogue either. So if you go to the website and you click on the three little lines if you're using a device, or if you're on your computer, you can just drop down the promotions tab and you can see here there's National Scrapbooking Month Dream Maker, and there's also National Scrapbooking Day. And this is what I'm going to be working with today. I'm working with change of scenery. So I'm just going to scroll down here and you will see that there are several different kits available. And I also wanted to show you that if you click on any of these, you get a more expanded view of what is contained within each kit. And this gives you a really good look at all of the items that are available. I love this stamp set. It shows you previews of all the pattern papers, and for this one, it's showing you both sides of the pattern paper. This is the one I'm going to work with today. I'm very excited about this pattern, and you've probably seen a few people create with that already. And I have a little bit of a twist with what I'm going to do with it, so I hope it works out because it's all in my head at the moment. The sticker sheet is gorgeous, and then there's a workshop guide. If you wanted to follow it, you can create these gorgeous scrapbook layouts. They really have beautiful designs, so you don't even need to think about it. You can go and download the workshop guide, and that will give you all the directions for cutting and then the assembly as well. So I'm just going to close that down and open this up and get into it. So now I'm just going to open this up and show you. You would have seen that when I was scrolling through on my iPad, but sometimes it's just nice to see a closer view of what exactly is within the kits. This stamp set is exclusive to the kit. You can't buy it separately, and I really like the icons that are in here. It really is quite a versatile stamp set. I like the little details on the icons here. You get 3 sheets of these die cuts and they're quite easy to push out. Not only can you combine loving this view, you can also combine go, see, and there's 2 letters on here, do, to make a title as well. So quite versatile with this. There are trees that you can punch out and use that, and you can also use this little negative piece as well if you wanted to create a pretty cool design on a layout. And this is the gorgeous paper that I'm going to use today. So you can see there is a cloud design on one side with more of a blue tinge. I'm going to be using this one. This is the sticker sheet, gorgeous stickers, and I'm going to use some of those on my layout. I've already separated out the zip strips to make them usable. I'm thinking though I'm not going to use them. If I do, I might use the arrows. I'm going to put these ones aside. This icon paper here is designed so that you can use it in any direction at all, because the trees and the mountains are orientated in different ways. I really love this postage stamp type paper with the little scenic views in it. It really is lovely. So you can use that as a strip, as a whole background, or you could cut out individual ones of those. I'm not using this one today. This is a gorgeous burlap design, and on the other side of that is a pine stripe. So it has a tone-on-tone tick mark type stripe on that. But I think what I'm going to do is set aside all of those pattern papers and just concentrate with these elements here to create my page design. I've had an idea floating around in my head for a while when I first got this paper, and now is the day I'm going to try it. I'm going to get out my scalpel knife and I'm going to cut into this paper. I don't really want to cover up too much of this gorgeous design, so I'm going to see if I can make this work. So I'm just going to take one of the sheets of paper. I've already prepared some photo mats, and I want to show you you what I mean. If I put these onto my page, I'm covering up a lot of the design of this layout. I'm trying to work out what is the best placement. I do have some photos in mind that I want to take for this layout, so I'm just getting myself prepped. I don't know if you do this. You see a paper pack. There's a place that I really want to go and visit, and I'm going to take my photos. And doing this, I'm going to be all organized and I'll know what orientation to take the photos. I am going to do a double page spread for this. So what I'm thinking of doing is actually cutting into the paper so that I can leave this beautiful section here as part of a feature. So I think what I'm going to do is cut into the paper along this section here and then tuck my photos in behind it. I've got a scalpel knife here, or a craft knife, and I'm following along the edge of this little mountain area. It doesn't matter if I don't quite get it right, because nobody is going to actually see what is underneath here. They're only going to see the portion that is on the top. So I'm trying to go just a little bit on the inside of this line. I hope you can see that line here. So I've cut through this layer here, and I'm thinking I might tuck my 4x6 photo into this section. And that works quite well, and not too much of the photo is going to be obstructed by this area. So I'm going to repeat that along this edge and cut about here to here so I can tuck this portrait size photo in. So once again, I'm going to go just inside this little bit of a line so I don't get the lighter edge poking up on the edge here when I tuck my photo in. So yes, I am holding my breath while I do this. Actually, I might go the same way that I did last time. You'll be able to see it a little bit easier on camera. And this time I'm going to actually use a pencil to line up where I want to go from and to. So I'm going to cut along from here to here. I can erase those later and they will be hidden by the photo. So that just helps me know exactly where I'm going to put this one. With this one, I knew I just wanted that little corner, but because I'm putting another position here, I don't want to go too far along here and put too much of a cut. So I'm just going along this edge of this mountain here, this area. And I don't have to press too hard. This is very, very sharp, so you do want to be careful with it. And then I'm going to tuck my photo in here to make sure that I've gone far enough along, because I do want to have a gap between these areas here. I've pretty much got the same amount of room on each side here, so this is quite balanced. So I've got my two photo mats here, and then I can put another one here, or I might actually put it a little bit further over here because I'm going to do some stamping. And now I'm going to do pretty much the same thing on the left page and do a little bit of a larger cut because I want to cut two larger photos in. So you can see I've cut along here, and you can see I've cut a little section away with my scissors, but that's going to be hidden by the photo once I slide that in. I got a little bit on the other side of that line, so when I put this on my photo, that lighter area of the grey clouds might actually show a little bit. So I'm just trimming that additional little section off with my scissors. It's not much. And then I've got two 4x6 photos, so they're both going to be portrait. And I'm going to tuck these in here so that they're on a little bit of an angle and they'll overlap just a little bit. I'm quite loving how this looks, and when you look at it as a double page spread, it almost looks like this greenery and the hill here just continues on with the pattern. And I'm sure that's been intentional, even though this one's a little bit higher and lower here. When it's in an album, there'll be a bit of separation, but it means the scene just continues on. I'm going to get out the stamp set, and I think I want to work out exactly where the images are going to go on my layout before I start stamping them. So I was thinking I might put Worth the Pause down in here. I'm going to be stamping, I've picked out some inks, Toffee, Pine, Espresso and Black, because I do want to keep with the natural neutral type tones. And then what I'm going to do is cut some of these stickers out with my scissors so I can position them on the page and work out where I want to put them. You can see I've selected some stickers to put around. I cut several out. I did audition this title here, but I just like this little grouping of You Can Find Me Out in Nature. This one I'm going to use, I think, on the one that's got the postage stamps. I think it will work better with that. I wanted to keep this layout fairly minimalist because this paper is so gorgeous. It's got such a lot of detail with it that for me to put even more on here was just making it all look a little bit too cluttered. And I know that when I get the photos of the forest that I want to go to on here, they're going to make a real statement. So I didn't want to clutter it up too much. I did originally have You Can Find Me here, but then I looked at this little cutout log part here that's going to suit where I'm going to go. And I will share this layout with the completed photos on that when I get there. But I really wanted to share this paper because this special runs until the end of this month. And I really think it's one that's not to be missed. But when I saw this little wood element, I thought I would bring in another one over on this side. I've got the trees on each side here, and this one's sort of floating a little bit. I didn't want to group it over here. I'm going to stamp Worth the Pause in there. So because this one's floating, I've actually cut out Discover More, and what that's doing is bringing in, this is more a shortbread type colour. It's bringing in that colour from here over to this part where my journaling is going to go over to here. So I am going to have to trim this off, but it will give a place for this sticker to sit. So I'm going to adhere this down, half tucking it under here. I've got to be mindful of the fact that I do have a photo that I've got to put on here, but I know I'm going to have a white mat around all my photos. So these photo placeholders are actually going to perform the duty of being a photo mat as well. So I'm going to trim this Discover More just with my scissors. And then what I can do is peel this off so that it becomes a place for this tree to sit. Otherwise it's just sort of floating off in midair. And it's just the right size to put to the edge of my paper. So then I can put this one underneath. I'm going to adhere this sticker. Stickers do make things nice and quick when you're putting your layout together, but I do want to make sure that I keep enough room for Worth the Pause. Actually, what I'm going to do is stamp that before I commit to putting that sticker down. In case I mess this stamping up, I want to make sure that I can put it on a piece of paper instead to cover up. So I'm going to flip this over. All-purpose mats are wonderful. You can put stickers down here and peel them off and use them again later. I'm not going to do it in pine because there's enough with the pine mats here. I'm going to bring in Espresso. Just going to move this aside for now. Pick this up on my block. I need to season it because I haven't used this before, and I'm still using this envelope that I did a layout on just before. So I'm just going to stamp off this, make sure it's all inked up properly, and then I can sort of hover it over my layout to make sure that I've got the colour that I want. So here's a case in point of always testing out your stamp first. I've got a little bit of rubber or a little bit of paper on here, a little bit of paper, and that's meant that the R hasn't stamped properly. So I do like, especially when I'm stamping directly onto a layout, I do like to test that before I go in. So I'm going to ink this up really well, moving it around the stamp pad. Sometimes if we ink in the middle all the time, that sort of pushes some of the ink off to the edges. So I'm just making sure that I get this all nice and covered. Then I'm going to line this up and leave this as I'm pushing this down with a fairly firm pressure. I don't want to go too much because there is this line here. I don't want to smush that out, and I'm letting the ink absorb onto the paper. And if you're patient, I think this makes for successful stamping directly onto layouts. I love how that looks. It's just a really nice design with the font that they've used, justified here, and then the line design off to the left. I really love how that looks. So now I can take this sticker off my all-purpose mat, peel this up a little bit, and adhere my little journal box. And I can go ahead now and adhere the rest of my stickers down. This is quite a quick page to put together. I know that it might seem a little bit scary to cut into your actual paper like this, but I thought if it doesn't quite work, I can do a photo mat. I'll just remove that hair there. I can do a photo mat across here and no one would ever know that I've actually messed up with this work with my craft knife. So I'm just going to peel these two off at the same time so I can sort of work out where to put the bottom layer, which is going to be the out in nature. So I think I want this part coming out from the trees. So that looks pretty good there. I'm going to adhere this down. And this layout is pretty much done. So I need to trim off the edge of these trees. And I'm just going to have a quick look at these die cuts to see if I want to add any of these to the layout. I think this colour here is just a little bit too flat with all the texture with the printed paper and what I've got in the stickers here. And I'm not going to use the pine, it's a bit too strong. But I am thinking I'll press a couple of these out just to see if I like the look of them. Maybe a couple of arrows. I do like these little heart and star geotags, and I'm thinking the tones of these might work quite well. I do want to keep this fairly clean, but I am thinking that a couple of these little wood arrows might look cute pointing in towards the photo. So I'm just going to put those down and dry fit them and see if I like how they're placed. I do like these little geotags. I might put 2 here because that creates a little cluster around this element here. I might bring these arrows down a little bit so that they look like they belong with these trees. And I know there's quite a lot of white space here, but I think when my photos go on, that is going to be enough for what I want for this layout. So in this case for me, less is more. So I'm going to quickly adhere these down with a little bit of glue, making sure I don't put any adhesive on this section here where I want to tuck my photo under. And then that will be this page done. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll put links below to everything that I have used in this layout. Mainly it's just one kit to create this, and I'm looking forward to doing some designs with the other papers and the elements that are provided in this workshop kit. As always, happy crafting and bye for now.